Fidel Castro, 1926 to 2016, was a Cuban revolutionary leader and politician who served as the Prime Minister of Cuba from 1959 to 1976 and as the President of Cuba from 1976 to 2008. He played a central role in the Cuban Revolution and was one of the most prominent figures in 20th-century politics. Castro was born on August 13, 1926, in Byron, Cuba. He studied law at the University of Havana, where he became involved in political activism and anti-government activities. In 1953, Castro led an unsuccessful armed attack on the Moncada barracks, an event that marked the beginning of the Cuban Revolution. After being imprisoned for his role in the failed attack, Castro was released as part of an amnesty in 1955. He went into exile in Mexico, where he formed the 26th of July movement, named after the date of the failed Moncada attack. The movement aimed to overthrow Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista and establish a socialist government in Cuba. In 1956, Castro and a group of revolutionaries, including Ernesto Che Guevara, returned to Cuba and began a guerrilla war against Batista's forces in the Sierra Maestra Mountains. The revolution gained popular support, and in 1959, Castro's forces successfully overthrew Batista's regime. Castro then assumed power as the Prime Minister of Cuba. As Prime Minister and later as President, Castro implemented a series of far-reaching reforms, including the nationalization of industries, land redistribution, and the establishment of a centrally planned economy. He also pursued a policy of social equality with an emphasis on education, healthcare, and housing for all Cubans. Castro's government faced significant challenges, including economic difficulties exacerbated by the United States embargo on Cuba and political tensions with the United States during the Cold War. Cuba became aligned with the Soviet Union, leading to strained relations with the United States, including the Bay of Pigs invasion in 1961 and the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962. Castro's regime was characterized by strict control over political dissent and limitations on civil liberties. Opposition to his government was suppressed, and he maintained a one-party system with the Communist Party as the sole political organization. Castro retired from the presidency in 2008 due to health issues and was succeeded by his brother, Raúl Castro. Fidel Castro remained a prominent figure and an influential voice in Cuban politics until his death on November 25, 2016. Fidel Castro's legacy is a subject of intense debate. Supporters view him as a champion of social justice and anti-imperialism, who stood up against U.S. influence and worked to improve the lives of the Cuban people. Critics, on the other hand, point to restrictions on political freedoms and human rights violations under his regime. Regardless of one's perspective, Fidel Castro's impact on Cuban and global politics cannot be denied, and his name remains closely associated with the Cuban Revolution and the socialist experiment in Cuba.